back as we commemorated Workers' Day yesterday. The South African Youth Economic Council says many graduates and young people in general are still trying to find work. The unemployment rate in South Africa is currently at its highest, standing at 35.3%. Of course, under the expanded definition, that number does increase exponentially, and the youth make up the bulk of it. So to unpack this further, we're joined now by the Council's President, Kanakana Mudzanani, who joins us via our video link this morning. It's great to speak to you, Kanakana. I mean, where do we begin talking about Workers' Day in light of youth unemployment in our country? We know what the official numbers say, but experts will tell us that 70% of young people in the country are unemployed.
Good morning, Michelle, and good morning to your viewers as well. But thank you so much for having us on your platform. I think it is quite imperative to highlight that it is quite problematic to have the mining industry specifically contributing meaningfully to the economy, but we are not seeing anything yielding positive results along the lines of creating jobs and business opportunities for young people. So what we are consistently going to see as a country is social instability to a certain extent. It's a revolt against the sitting government. It's protests in entities that continue to make profits but not reinvesting those profits in our economy. But what we are beginning to see also from young people in this country is organizing themselves and engaging private players and saying our economy is doing well. It is your entities that have invested in our economy are equally profiting from it. But at the same time, we are not seeing the results. We are not seeing you guys employing young people. We are not seeing you guys meaningfully investing in the labor that we have in this country. And we consistently inform them that a failure to do so will result in nothing but a social instability. So it is positive for business South Africa to actually invest in the labor of this country, should we be serious about protecting our social security.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, one would argue it should go even further, should go back even further than that, even to our schooling. Does our schooling support the kinds of jobs that we need in the country and support job creation in the country?
If you look at a report that was published by the Fraser's institution, particularly around the mining sector, what it stipulates is that we've got quite a lot of people that are skilled, who are fit for purpose, particularly in terms of the job descriptions that are available in certain sectors that are contributing meaningfully to the economy. But what we do not have is an investment drive in those sectors. So for instance, if you look at the mining sector, although it continues to grow, although companies continue to make so much money, there is no drive from their end to reinvest in the labor of this country, to reinvest also in the economy of this country. What does this mean? This simply means that the people that are driving these entities or these companies are consistently focused on increasing their annual dividends, the share price of the company, and most importantly, their bonuses. But they do not care much about investing in the labor that is either in already their companies as employees or young people and other people that may not be employed. So for as long as these companies are not coerced or forced by government through legislation, that if you guys make a certain profit margin as an entity, we expect you to reinvest this amount of portion back to the economy. The issue of skills, I do not want to characterize us as a country that has no skilled laborers or that does not have laborers that are capable of contributing in these sectors that are already making money in the economy. But I want to characterize our problem as having entities that are concerned or focused on raising their profit margins and not reinvesting the same amount of money back in our economy, which yields or gives birth to the crisis that we have or we face as young people. But it is also very important to take note of the social compact that the President always speaks about, that we need to have unions in one room, we need to have private players in one room, and we need to have government stakeholders in one room, where we say government must consider decreasing its tax so that business can also be able to operate. Government must consider decreasing its pay-as-you-earn tax, for instance, so that the cost of living in this country can be equivalent to the amount of money that workers are getting paid. But it is also very important to engage private players that since conditions are enabling you guys to invest in our economy, we are going to force you as government, considering that we've done our part, to employ so amount of people, because this is the kind of money that you are generating. If we build such a social compact, you can be rest assured that we are going to create more jobs for young people, more business opportunities, and in one way or the other, we are going to be able to sustain our democracy and ensure that we have a solid social security. Because as it stands, Michelle, no one can proclaim that this democracy has worked for the majority. We have continued to uphold what I always characterize as the Irish coffee scenario, where there is black concentration at the bottom of this economy and there is a white cream at the top with a few black dots. By that, I'm indicating that the economy is still in the hands of the minority, which are largely white males, and there is a co-option of a few black people. And that on its own is quite problematic. And we have to make efforts to ensure that such is addressed and the wealth of this country is equally distributed and shared amongst people of this country.
I mean, Kanakana, I don't know about you, but it does feel like we're having the same conversation over and over. I mean, we focus on the issue of unemployment and specifically youth unemployment. Every time Statistics South Africa releases the quarterly labor force survey results, there's a new sort of focus on those numbers again, and there's a new push for the kinds of changes in how we do things that you've just outlined. Is there enough urgency? I mean, it's ironic, as you say, that we've just celebrated Freedom Day in our country as well on the 27th of April. Is there enough urgency, not only from business, not only from government, but all of the role players that are meant to be involved in coming up with solutions to what is a crisis?
There's absolutely no sense of energy. Minimal effort from the president and his government to address this crisis. You've got cabinet members who are consistently becoming fat cats every day, focused on looting state resources and not addressing the challenges that we have. I mean, if you look at the youth unemployment level in this country, it's actually the highest in the world, and there's no effort to address it. Young people are consistently forced to depend on the government relief fund that gives them 350 every month, and we cannot continue like that. What I am trying to say here, Michelle, is that on our side as the South African Youth Economic Council, we've already rolled out our countrywide program, the Youth Jobs in Biz. We will be visiting each and every single province, interacting with young people, ensuring that we bring private players in the room and some government stakeholders. So from our end, we are already saying this is a national crisis. We need to bring our heads together to ensure that we are united in our efforts to address this. However, if government does not want to be a part of this initiative, it would be fruitless. If the president does not want to support such initiatives, we are not going to yield any positive results. So what we can actually do from our end is to ensure that we engage various stakeholders so that this Jobs in Bizo that we are rolling out does not become like all the other talk shows, but this actually becomes a meaningful program that yields positive results for young people in this country. So as per our Imbizo, the one that we've just hosted here in the city of Cape Town, we've managed to receive a commitment from the Mayor of the City of Cape Town, Mr. Jordan Hill-Lewis, the COO of the Petroleum Agency of South Africa, and they've committed to over 50,000 jobs for young people, particularly around the Western Cape. So as we roll out our program, we expect to see much more of these things. But what is also interesting is that these stakeholders have equally agreed to interact with our council to ensure that we monitor and they actually deliver on the promises that they've made.
Yeah, absolutely. Kanakana Mudzanani, let me thank you for your time this morning. President of the SA Youth Economic Council, certainly the kinds of voices that we need to try and address this crisis of youth unemployment in our country.